Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Selva Kumar, archaeologist in the Department of Maritime History and Marine Archaeology, Tamil University, Tanjavur. Today we are going to look into the module on methods of excavation, introduction and trial excavation, vertical excavation and step trenches. This is part of the paper Principles and Methods of Archaeology. Okay, now let's look into the learning objectives. So here our aim is to understand the introduction on the methods of excavation, understanding the advantages and disadvantages of various methods of excavation such as trial excavation, vertical excavation and step trenches. These are different types of excavations adopted by archaeologists to understand the past cultures. Let's get into the introduction. What is an archaeological excavation? Archaeological excavation is a systematic process of digging of natural and cultural layers to document, understand and recover the material remains, ecofacts and to collect information on their context in order to understand the past human behavior and the cultures on the whole. So the purpose of the archaeological excavation is to understand human culture by recovering all kinds of evidences that are found in an archaeological site by systematically digging and documenting them. What is a method? Method is a procedure to undertake an operation or expedition. It may include a number of procedures, steps and techniques to achieve an objective. The methods and techniques generally involve layout of trenches, analysis and understanding, removal and documentation of the layers and cultural deposits, contexts, cultural materials and all kinds of possible evidences for a proper interpretation of human cultural behavior. So the methods are very important in archaeological excavation. One has to collect all kinds of evidences and document them properly and then analyze them properly so that we can understand the past cultures. Now let's look into the tools and implements required for an archaeological excavation. We cannot excavate with empty hand. We need a number of tools and implements. Let's look at them. Trowels, knives, brushes for removing the soil layers and artifacts and for exposing features and architecture. Shovels, buckets and baskets for removing the soil. Most importantly, we also need a sieve so that the excavated soil can be filtered and all the artifacts can be collected. We also need brushes of various size so that we can expose the artifacts and clean them before they are being lifted. And in addition, we also need section trimmers and root cutters so that the excavated area can be maintained clean for photography and documentation. We also need dissection tools. Suppose if we encounter very delicate bones and other materials, we need minute and small tools so that these remains can be properly excavated. Another important component of archaeological excavation is human resources. Without trained human resource, we cannot excavate. Normally, an excavation will have a director, project director, the person who initiates the research project, and then co-directors who will be forming the research problems and designing the entire research project. Then we need a site supervisor. This can be a PhD student or trained archaeologist who can monitor the entire activities that are going on at a site during excavation. Skilled excavators, we need actually people who can dig with a lot of care. So therefore, we need trained people. There can be students, research scholars or workers, sometimes even ordinary workers who may not know anything about archaeology can excavate very beautifully and bring out things very accurately if you teach them properly. We also need a trench supervisor. Sometimes we'll be excavating different areas in a site. We need a person to maintain an account and document all the activities that are going on in an excavated trench during the process of excavation. Then we need surveyors. They will be surveying the site, preparing a map. That may be done before excavation and also during and after the excavation. We also need an antiquity register or artifact register who will be documenting each and every artifact that are collected from the excavation and listing them and taking measurement on them and properly registering, because it is a important procedure required under the antiquarian law that we register the antiquities or artifact properly and then submit it to the Government of India or Archaeological Survey. We also need a lot of specialists for studying ceramics, beads, human and animal bones, and soil and geological materials. So it depends upon the nature of the excavation and what we are finding. Suppose if we find different kind of materials, we may need different kinds of specialists for the analysis of material from the excavations. Let's look into the excavation methods and techniques. Excavation methods and techniques, there are at least two dimensions in an archaeological site, as space and time in history. Actually, space and time are the important components in history. The horizontal and vertical methods cover these two components respectively. The nature of the excavation is related to the objective of the research. The techniques of the excavation for both horizontal and vertical approaches are identical. So methods, we are referring to the broader approach. When we talk about techniques, excavation techniques, we are referring to the minute activity of removing the soil layers, recording the findings and registering them and analyzing the context to interpret on the human behavior. These techniques are common to all kinds of excavation methods. When we talk about methods, we are talking about broad approaches to the layout of excavations and the excavation method proper. The evidence found in an excavation has to be properly documented and recovered irrespective of the broader approach that we are adopting in an excavation project. Excavation and implication. Why are we excavating? What are the implications? Excavation does not stop with the digging itself. Digging is the first step. Analysis of stratigraphy, context and material remains are important at the post-excavation stage to prepare the report of the excavations, to understand the cultural remains that have been excavated. It deals with the entire process of research, right from the problem formation to the publication of report. In addition, it goes beyond. Now, writing report alone is not enough. We need to conserve and recover the excavated material, and then we may display them at a museum or site museum, and later on we may also archive them properly so that in future people can use them. Therefore, excavation means it includes everything right from problem formation down up to archiving and safekeeping of the excavated materials. Research problem. In any kind of research, problem formulation is very important. Research problem is an important component of an excavation. We cannot excavate without a problem. Often, most excavations are done just to know the cultural sequence and chronology. Even then, it could be considered a research problem. However, with the regional approaches gaining ground, the excavations seek to understand the cultural context and behavioral patterns of the humans. So the research problem determines why a particular method of excavation is chosen. Therefore, research problem is the most important component in an archaeological excavation. What are the different types of excavation methods or approaches? Based on the objective, layout, and extent and nature and approach, the excavation methods are classified into auger or coring method, trial excavation method, vertical method, step trench method, horizontal method, quadrant method, open area method. These are the different methods adopted by researchers in various parts of the world. We have here the image of Robert Eric Mortimer Wheeler, who was one of the important archaeologists from UK. He was working in India when the partition took place around 1940s. He made important contribution for training archaeologists in India, and also he made a lot of innovation in excavation methods. Many researchers have made contribution to the excavation methods. Now let's look into the auger or coring method. It is a very simple sampling method used to understand the site stratigraphy. It is not generally used in archaeological sites. It's mainly used in geological and prehistoric context and underwater sites or buried site, because excavating using a core or an auger would damage the cultural material and structures, but it can be used if it is inevitable, where we have no other option. We can very rarely use it in a smaller context. Next important method is trial excavation method. Trial excavation is a sample excavation method used to understand the nature of an archaeological site, its context and cultural material, so that further course could be undertaken in future research. Trial excavation is often part of a regional research strategy. This method can be used for several purposes. Trial excavation, as the name itself indicates, is a sampling method. It can tell us what exactly is buried within an archaeological site, so that we can plan in future. We cannot directly go for an archaeological excavation without understanding a site. Therefore, trial excavation is a very useful tool for understanding an archaeological site, at least initially. Trial excavation is done before excavating a site on a large scale. The methodology here is to excavate only a small portion to understand the site. It may not be taken to represent the nature of occupation at the entire site. Trial excavations at several sites can produce much different set of data than the horizontal or vertical excavation. It is an important method for understanding cultural sequences from a regional scale. Actually, trial excavation can be much more valuable than vertical or horizontal excavation if it is used at several sites combined with surface survey. This can help us to better understand a culture or cultures from regional point of view. What you see in this particular image is a trial excavation. It's a small trench measuring about 2 by 2 meter. And this is used to understand the nature of the cultural deposit at a site called S. Papinoyakkanpatti in Madurai region. How will we select a site for a trial excavation? The site could be very large, therefore we can select a particular location for the trial excavation depending upon the objective. Normally, the trial trench is excavated on the topmost part of the site. These trenches can also be excavated in the boundary depending upon our objectives in any area of the site or landscape that is suspected to have archaeological materials or other types of data. It is not necessary that we put a trial trench only in the site itself. We can also excavate in an old tank or other important features that are located little away from the site, because they can help us to collect a lot of environmental data and also paleo land use. Trial excavations. What are the advantages of trial excavations? Trial excavations, they save time, resources before undertaking large scale excavation. It requires comparatively limited resources, time, financial as well as human power. It helps determine the boundary of the site. Sometimes multiple trial trenches can help us to estimate the boundary of an archaeological site, because on the surface you may not find the archaeological materials, but sometimes we may find buried materials in the boundary of the site. Therefore, excavating trial trenches in the boundary of a site is very important. It can be used to understand the stratigraphy at offsites, tanks, cultivable fields and other natural landscape for geoarchaeological perspective in landscape archaeology approach. It is a valuable tool for regional survey and regional understanding of cultures. Trial excavation. What is the normal area of trial excavation. The trial trenches may vary in size depending upon the size of the deposit. It can vary from 1 square meter to 5 by 5 square meter. Again, there are no strict rules here. It is up to the objectives of the excavator to decide the size of the trench. What are the limitations? As I already mentioned, trial trench cannot be a substitute for a vertical or horizontal excavation. It only gives a very fragmentary data about the site. Interpretation of data from the trial trenches should be used very cautiously. If a trial trench is located by chance in a large disturbed area such as a well, it might not give an accurate picture of the site. One possible solution to overcome the limitation is multiple trial trenching. Multiple trial trenches can be useful in understanding a site. It cannot be treated as a substitute for vertical or horizontal excavation, as we already mentioned. Therefore, the data from trial trench should be used very cautiously. Vertical method. Next important method is vertical method or vertical excavation. This can be also be very enlightening in the case of several archaeological sites. Vertical excavation is intended to understand the vertical cultural sequence of a site, distribution of archaeological cultures in time, what we call as cultural history. It is a very useful tool for reconstructing cultural history. In one conventional method, the vertical excavation of the trenches was laid in a pattern of layout that cannot be extended laterally. That was the notion in an earlier time. Now we can adopt a more flexible approach in the sense that even a simple gridding of a site can be useful for vertical excavation. After gridding a site, a row of grids can be taken up for vertical excavation. What you see in this image is a vertical trench at the site of Hastinapura, excavated by Archaeological Survey of India. Here we see another vertical trench at the site of Pattanam in Kerala. Here we can see the multiple layers and several cultural periods are represented here. The cultural periods are listed in this table. We have several cultural periods starting from Iron Age, and then we have early historic period, early medieval period, late medieval period and modern period. Generally in the excavation, the cultural periods are named from the bottom to the top. The lowermost cultural period is given Roman letter 1, and then subsequent cultural periods are given number 2, 3, 4. While the loci or locus or layer, while they are excavating, the number is given from top or in any other sequence. So this is the purpose of the vertical excavation, basically to understand the cultural sequence of a site. This particular image shows you different cultural period from the site of Pattanam. What you see here at the bottommost is a sandy layer, which is the natural soil. Above the natural soil, we have a layer which is marked by two white lines that belongs to the Iron Age, and if you look at that very carefully, you will not notice any bricks or other remains. During the early historic period, you can see a lot of activities happening at this particular site. You can see a lot of brick fragments. So here, by looking at this section, we can reconstruct its entire history. Vertical excavation, it is intended for understanding the cultural sequence, as I already mentioned, but it is normally limited to a few trenches. It is not excavated extensively. A vertical excavation limits itself to a few trenches. It should not be seen as a distinct method from horizontal excavation. In a sense, both these methods are very much interrelated. The moment you are going to excavate, you are touching two dimensions, both space and depth. You cannot ignore the fact, even in vertical excavation, you are dealing with space. Similarly, in the horizontal excavation also, you are dealing with time or vertical dimension. The documentation and recovery of the materials remains should be done with great care in both these excavation methods, both horizontal as well as vertical. That is more important. What are the advantages of vertical excavation? Vertical excavation normally requires limited time and resources, helps understand the cultural sequences and the variation in cultural life over a specific period of time. It helps us to understand the diachronic or long-term cultural development at a particular site. What are the limitations? Every method has its own limitation and advantages. it is very limited in focus on the horizontal aspect of the culture. The interest is on the long-term cultural development. A complete understanding of a culture cannot be achieved because of the limited excavations. A vertical excavation at one area of the site may not bring all the cultural periods, because we cannot assume that the site we selected for vertical excavation contains all the cultural period, because people can shift to another part of area and then live one particular point of time, but that period may not be represented in a particular sequence. So vertical trenching, what you see here is a vertical trenching in a horizontal excavation. Sometimes vertical trenching is also done in a horizontal excavation, especially when people encounter architecture or other remains. They start excavating the area where they have plain soil sediment in order to understand the cultures that are lying at the bottom. Therefore, these two methods should be seen as complementary, as you see in this particular image. Horizontal method. This is another important excavation method in which we excavate in a large scale across a site. Horizontal method is used for the excavation of large area. In this method, the trenches are laid in the form of grid or boxes, as laid at Archimedu by Mortimer Wheeler in the 1940s. It is used mainly for excavating fortification and town, so that we understand the complete picture of a town or fortification. What you see in this particular image is the excavation at Inamgon by Deccan College. Here, by this horizontal excavation, they could expose several buildings and architectural remains and also numerous burials. This method is very useful for understanding the ancient town plan or village plan, and they are very ideally suitable for excavating large sites like Harappa or Indus Valley civilization sites. This particular image shows you the structures excavated through horizontal excavation method at the site of Dholavira in Gujarat. It is a famous Harappan site. So at these sites we need to adopt horizontal excavation method. Just by taking a vertical excavation, we will not be able to understand the culture holistically. Therefore, horizontal excavation is a very important method for understanding ancient cities, towns and spatial organization. So what you see in this particular image is a grid type of excavation with a lot of box or section at the site of Archimedu, excavated by Wheeler in the 1940s. Step trench method. This is another excavation method that is used selectively at a few sites. The step trench is in the form of steps. It is excavated in the form of steps, so that we get a complete understanding of a mound at different areas. Here the whole mound is not excavated, it is a sampling method. It provides only sample of a particular site. It provides data on the distribution and spread of layers in the various areas of the mound. It is used for the excavation of large mounds and sites with thick deposit. Again, the objectives of the excavator are very important. What you see in this image is a typical step cutting, where we don't go deep, we take several steps so that we get a sampled understanding of the archaeological mound. Step trenching. What are the advantages of step trenching? Step trenches can help reduce the cost of excavation in certain areas. It can be used in large mounds with prehistoric remains. It can help at sites where the sections might fall or collapse because of the loose nature of the sediments. But nowadays we have a lot of other techniques that are available to excavate sites that have loose deposit. These sites are reinforced with metal structures so that the excavations can go deeper. Normally people avoid this step trenching nowadays because it doesn't give you a complete picture. It is again very fragmentary in approach. What are the limitations? Step trench cannot reveal the whole aspect. It can reveal only certain aspect of an archaeological mound. It is not suitable for understanding sites with lot of cultural materials. It cannot be a substitute for the complete excavation of a mound. It is mostly applied to the prehistoric site or where there is no other option to excavate the site completely. Quadrant method is another important method. It was used for the excavation of burials and stupas which are circular in shape. The circle is divided into 4 quarters or quadrants, but this method is not preferred nowadays. We can simply use a gridding method even in this area. In the excavation of the burial site, the area in between the burials are important. The conventional notion was to focus only on the main site and off-sites were ignored. Nowadays, by excavating the space in between the burials, we can understand the kind of space use that people had for the space in between the burials. For example, the site of Anakkara in Kerala, they excavated the space in between the burial and they found a lot of evidence for habitation of the Iron Age or megalithic period. Earlier, it was the notion to say that there was no evidence for the habitation of the megalithic people just by excavating the burial. Even sometime in between the burials, you may find evidence for treating the dead before constructing or creating the burial. Therefore, we can use grid method even in the case of burials or circular monuments. What you see in this particular image is the 4 quadrants of a circular feature. Here a stupa or megalithic burial is marked as a circle and it is divided into 4 quadrants. Actually 2 opposite quadrants are excavated and then later on the other opposite quadrants are excavated. This method, actually it was used by Wheeler. It can help us to keep a control of the stratigraphy. Again, we cannot say this, we can't adopt this method. Again, it depends upon the excavator and their research objectives and how the documentation is. So you can choose a method according to the objectives of the excavation and the type of documentation that are employed in a particular excavation. The final method is open area method. This is also a very important method. This is adopted across the world nowadays. Open area method is a horizontal excavation method. In this method, baths are not left between small areas. Sometimes an area as big as 10 meter by 20 meter can be excavated as one trench without leaving bog. The entire area is excavated so that a complete understanding of the cultural activities can be recorded. Summary. Now let's look into the summary of this particular module. So the choice of the excavation method depends upon the nature of the research problem and the resources and time available. To understand the potential and nature of the material evidence and context for further research, trial excavation can be chosen. Trial excavation would also be useful in combination with the regional survey if trial trenches are excavated across several sites in a particular region. Trial excavation is preliminary in nature and may be conducted as part of the regional survey before planning for large-scale excavation. Vertical excavation is a more detailed exercise than the trial excavation. It is preliminary and is also a sampling method for a large site. It is suitable for the reconstruction of regional cultural sequences, and step cutting is a method of trenching chosen depending upon the context and objectives of the site. It can be used in the context of prehistoric site and some contexts where the site section could collapse due to loose nature of the sediments. Sometimes we can also use other techniques to avoid step trenching. Finally, the excavation method is related to the research objectives, as we have repeatedly said, and the budget of the research project. Some excavation methods would require a lot of resources and a lot of time. Therefore, these methods are dependent upon the research objectives and the resources that we have. So, different methods can be adopted at a particular site depending upon the research problem. Therefore, we use a combination of different methods, for example, vertical and horizontal methods, to understand the cultural sequence of a site properly. So, it is up to the research objectives. I hope you are very clear about the excavation methods. If you want more detail, you can log on to EPG Padasala. Thank you.